Good morning. Well, it's not really morning here, it's night. And I just poured myself a glass of wine. I'm sitting in a parking lot, and those pictures, I thought I ran across those, and that was Tracey from kindergarten, 7th grade, and then my junior prom. So I just thought I would add that in the beginning of this, just for your pleasure, so that you could see that I am naturally ginger. Back in that day, being a redhead was not cool. Now it's cool. Now everybody wants to be a redhead. But back then, and so then I always wanted to be blonde. And, you know, when you're young, your parents won't let you, like, color your hair. So I used Sun-In, and so then it just turned orange. So finally, I think when I was about 20, I finally got like foils, and I've never went back, except for one time I did try and go back to red, and I kind of scared myself. So for me, I feel more like a blonde. If I could go back to that natural redhead, I never would have changed my color. Looking back now, you know, hindsight is 20/20, but live and you learn. And then now where I'm at, I just like being a blonde. So that's what I am. So I know this is kind of weird, the way this video is, but I watch a YouTuber, and she's done this a couple of times. And I thought it was kind of interesting because, you know, with all just the distractions that we have, like as far as like, you know, looking at photos with Instagram or Facebook or, you know, what's it called? TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. But when I had watched the videos that she had done this, it was like I paid attention, and it's more like a podcast because you don't have anything to look at, so you really have to focus on listening. So it's more just like having a conversation with you, but I happen to be the one talking, the only one talking. So anyway, I wanted to just get some stuff off my chest and just talk tonight and have a glass of wine. And like I said, the van, I'm parked in a parking lot, and nobody's going to come knock on the door tonight. So you know what this feels like too? I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic grade school and a Catholic high school. And so if you have ever been to confession, this is kind of what it's like. Like, I'm just sitting here talking. Nobody else is here, and I'm just talking into my phone. And if you've done confession, or if you haven't, I should say. If you've done confession, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, so confession for us was in the back of the church. And it kind of looks like a telephone booth. It's tall and wide, and it's made of like dark wood. And there's two sides to it. There's a door on the left side and a door on the right side and a door in the middle. And the door in the middle is for the priest to sit. And then what you do is you go in and you kneel down, whether you go in the left or the right. So there's always two people in there. Well, if they have two people, there was always a line when we went, because we all went together. And our kneelers were always so hard. I think it was another form of punishment, other than saying 1,000 Hail Marys and 50,000 Our Fathers for swearing. But so what would happen is you would sit in the dark and wait for your turn. So you could hear the other person speaking, but you couldn't hear what they were saying. Like, you could hear them like mumbling, like Charlie Brown or but you couldn't hear what they were saying. But you knew that it was coming to you pretty soon. So you are in complete darkness. And then all of a sudden you would hear the slider slide over and stop. And you would say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. My last confession was," And then you'd say whenever that was, which usually it was like a week ago. So I don't know how many sins that like a 12-year-old could have in a week. And you'd get to the point where you'd just make things up because you couldn't come up with anything. I don't know how many bad sins we had at that age, but yeah, so it was always scary. So that's what it kind of makes me feel like I'm talking to a phone, but I can tell all my stuff because it's just me talking to no one, not looking in a camera and just talking. So here we go. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about van life and the whole YouTube experience and just what I've been feeling lately. And, some of the comments that I get and just the reality of it all. What's interesting to me is that when I first started YouTube, I had 58 followers the first day I left the driveway, which was November 7th. And the reason why I did it was because my mom, who's 92, wanted to know what I was doing. And so I said, I'll make videos. And, not like you don't want people to follow you, because that's kind of the point for YouTube sometimes. But it wasn't like I wanted to be YouTube famous or anything. Like I thought many people would follow me. But it was to make videos so my mom could see what I was doing, so she knew I was safe. And she doesn't know YouTube, so I would, and I still do, copy and paste the link from the video, and then she knows email, so when I send in an email, she just has to click on it and then she can watch it. And so that was the whole premise of it. It was just me being me. And I thought that I would practice using my cameras and stuff, because if you don't know, at some point I would like to do a documentary, and that may be sooner than later, but that's for another day to talk about. But so when I left, it was mostly like for me to like kind of diary myself, but then her, and then for the 58 followers, like show them. And it was mostly too for the women, because I had redone my van by myself, and I just wanted people to know that I had no experience in that. So just to let you know that if I could do it, you can do it too, because I had no experience. And so get all these followers and stuff, and which is amazing, and especially in the beginning. So my intention has always been about the adventures. My first adventure was me driving from Minnesota, and I was going directly to do NASCAR, because NASCAR was my first adventure. And I've had this trip mapped out. Like I've had certain places I'm stopping at, and so hasn't been something where I can really sit and enjoy anything for too long. I was in Sedona for 3 weeks, which was amazing. I could have stayed there for a lot longer with my friend Donna, if you haven't watched my videos or followed me for very long. And then I moved on, and I went to my nephew's in Houston. I made it there for Christmas. And then now I just had eye surgery last week in Jacksonville. And now next week I fly back to Minnesota to be with my mom for a week, while my sister and brother-in-law and their family are in the Caribbean, or the Caribbean, however you want to say it. Tomato, tomato. Anyway, so it's funny because when I first started and more people started following me, I started talking about all the camera equipment I had and wanted to learn how to use it, because I thought that I was going to make more, like cinematic. There's van lifers that show you the open door in the back with the sun rising, them pulling out of the driveway, but yet it's staged because somebody's got to run back and get that camera after they pull out of the driveway. It's truly a production when it's like that. And that's what I thought I was going to make at some point once I started getting more followers, and I wanted to learn the cameras. And then people were like, no, Tracey, keep it like this. Like, we want it real. We want to see the true van life experience. And so I was like, well, that makes it so much easier on me. I don't have to really do anything except for videotape I say videotape. People laugh at me all the time. I'm so 80s. Record my experiences and my travels. And so when you've seen me and when I post, it's all usually in real time, or I've left a place, but it's from like the day before, the couple days before. And I started out doing every day, and now I do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so that's where we're at. And what I really want to talk about is like my last video about mental health and about just social media and everything that goes with being a van lifer, and not just a van lifer, but a van lifer that does YouTube. Because I know a lot of you say you want to do this, and then a lot of you are like, well, I want to start a YouTube channel, or, oh, you've inspired me to start a YouTube channel. And that's amazing. And then I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, how did you grow your YouTube so quick? Or, hey, could you mention my name? And like, listen, I can't give you any tips because I don't know. Like, this all just happened like organically. I don't even know how I got so many followers. Somehow the YouTube algorithm gods or something picked me up, and I'm not sure why. But usually a lot of times I've noticed with people who put out their first van life video, like 56 and starting van life, or, oh, my first week in van life, those usually get the most views, and then sometimes like the views just fall off. And I suppose it depends on whether people are interested following you or not. You have what like they're looking for to follow. And so I didn't expect all that, so I can't give anybody any suggestions because I myself am just figuring this out as I go. And I've been on the road for less than 3 months. I think it's been about 11 weeks. And I think I just saw, I don't look at the numbers, but my mom tells me, she's like, you want to know? And I think it's almost 13,000 right now. Again, which is crazy. But so along with that, and as you know, I posted my mental health and social media the other day. Comes trolls, and that comes with any social media. I mean, if you're on Facebook, if you're on any social media, you know where that comes from. And or that it's just like part of it. And what's interesting though is that, oh, it's raining here now. I can hear it on the roof. But what's interesting is that people keep telling me to just ignore them, okay? And because I made a parody about trolls, and I'll call them out sometimes, and I'll tell you. But that's real life. And people are like, you know what? Just don't even give them any mind. And somebody wrote me today in an email, don't give them a platform. And it's interesting because mental health, it's so funny because I was thinking today, so many people like tell me they're so concerned about my physical well-being. Like, oh my gosh, Tracey, you be careful. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be hanging out with those people. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be staying there. But my mental health, nobody seems to want to protect my, well, I don't want to say nobody. Don't get me wrong. There's lovely, 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 lots of lovely comments. I misspoke. People think don't talk about that, or don't give that a platform, or don't give any mind to that. Just brush it off. Those are trolls. They have their own problems. But here's the thing. That's not reality. Even Chrome, who does Van City Van Life, his one thing is don't read the comments. So if you're a YouTuber, and especially as you get bigger and you get more comments, bigger you get, the more followers, the more comments, the more trolls. It's just how it works. And you can do nothing wrong, but just, you know, people are angry and they want to vent. But can you hear the rain? Oh, it's like ASMR now. This is van life. This is what it is. So, But I want to tell you, that's part of the reality. If I'm doing van life, and here's the thing, I thought about it today too, and I've been like, not researching it, but it's what I do. I'm a paralegal, and I like to, and I've been watching other people, and it's not like I want to quit, because I really enjoy sharing my journey, because people say that inspire them to do this or learned a lot, which is great. But there's also the bad part of it. And it's not just the negative comments. I get emails from men who are creepy. It can be scary, and that affects your mental health. And so what's interesting is, it's funny because people are more worried about me meeting people on the road, but if I see somebody and I'm around them, I can feel their vibe and I know whether to stay away or not. But when it's somebody who's commenting or emailing me, those are things that I don't really have much control over of them, but control over of me. So when I run into something like this, or any problem, quote unquote, I know there's a solution, like some solution, whatever it is, that there's something to come up with. But you need to take a step back sometimes to figure out what that is. And so that's what I need to do. And telling someone how to feel, it's more, we say we want reality, like you want to see real van life. And YouTube is part of my real van life now. But people don't want to see the negative parts of it. But there are negative parts of it. And so far, the negative parts have not been anything regarding being in the van. Other than sometimes in El Paso, when I was kind of just overstressed and the driving and stuff like that. El Paso was weird. But other than that, it has not been the van that has stressed me out or given me creepy feelings, or anybody I've met, because they've all been so nice. It's been dealing with YouTube. But here's the thing is, when you choose, it's a choice to put your life out there. And that's one of the repercussions, is that then you deal with trolls or creepy people, that kind of stuff. It comes with the territory. So, especially if you're a woman, a solo female woman who wants to do this, and you want to start a YouTube channel. When you start off and you're small, it's not bad, because if you're only getting like 5 or 10 comments, just brush that off. But when you're getting like hundreds of comments, then it gets to be like overwhelming. And again, like I said, people can be cruel, and unless you're not human or don't have any emotions or feelings, there's no way that it can't affect you. Van City Van Life, it must have affected him for him to keep saying, don't read the comment. And that's how he deals with it. And so wanted to talk about that because that's the reality of this. And people said they want to hear real van life. Well, this is real van life, because if you're listening now, or you're a follower or a subscriber, this is part of it. And they can't just push it under the rug, because this is what we've done with mental health. Like I said, people are worried for my physical safety, but if I say that I have to take care of my mental health, people dismiss that. There was one person that commented, and I believe it was a woman, that said, oh, so punish your followers. That's something new. Do you like how I say that? Because that's how I hear it in my head. But that's how she wrote it. And here's the thing. I'm not punishing anybody. I'm protecting myself. So that's the whole thing. This YouTube channel was not about, and I hate to say it, but sorry, you subscribers or followers or listeners, it's not about you. The whole point of this journey was me going on it to heal myself, because I've been a caregiver for so long. And that while I was still healthy, I wanted to do something for myself. And people hopped on the journey, and it was great to have people along. What happens in social media is that then somehow you start losing yourself. Like, then there's numbers, and it's like, oh my gosh, now I got 2,000 people, and now I got 5,000. And, I was waiting for it to like go back down and be like, oh, they're going to decide they don't want to follow me. I'm not interesting. But then it just kept going up. And again, then it just kept dealing with that. And I told you, here's the thing too. I didn't do this for the money. I put money aside, although I quickly found out that it's a lot more expensive, especially if you're traveling cross country, because gas is so much and just everything. I mean, just more than I ever thought. But, and thank goodness for AdSense. I mean, it has really helped. But here's the thing. I would make it either way. And it's been, people have been very supportive and generous and nice, and that is great. But the whole point of moving in a van, because I didn't have these followers when I left, was being minimalistic and not working for the man anymore and caring about money. But again, being human, once you start seeing numbers going up, you're like, or they go down, then you start putting your worth on that. Oh, it's going up. Wow, I must be popular. And then it goes down and you're like, oh shit, I suck. And it just is the human condition. And then if you make some money, listen, AdSense is not something that you can like retire off of. If you get a lot of people watching, a lot of subscribers, and people making really, really good money. But that's not how it is when you first start out. And don't get me wrong, it has helped. It has helped me, because like I said, I didn't plan well enough because I didn't realize. So it has helped me like keep going so I can like finish out through March to get back to Minnesota. But the whole point to my journey was about in the healing and spending time with my friends and traveling cross country and meeting other people and seeing new places and stuff. But then you know what happens? You start curating, is that the right word? Your life to make content. And I was making content every day, and it just got too much, because then you have to videotape stuff because you have to get content. And then at night you have to sit down and edit it. And then you have to upload it, which can take hours sometimes. And so it's a production. It's like work on sets. And especially when you're by yourself, it's a whole production that's all you. So not only are you traveling, are you taping, are you editing, are you uploading, are you responding, doing all this. And traveling's exhausting. But even doing all that is more exhausting. But you make a little money, and then you kind of feel like you start owing people something, and you get away from what the initial reason for the journey was, the adventure was. And I don't want to lose that. And that's why I don't look at the subscriber count anymore. And that's why I have to figure out how I deal with the negative comments when it affects me. And here's the thing. It only affects me like when I wake up in the morning and you read that. You know what I mean? Like I post a video Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I wake up and I can read some nice comments, and then somebody throws a zinger at me or something. It's like, ooh, ouch, that hurt. And it's not like it affects me all day long. Like, listen, even the nice comments. And I love all of my followers. I'm so happy you're along this journey with me. But I remember hearing Nicole Kidman. She was divorced from Tom Cruise at the time. And she had won the Oscar or whatever she won. And she said it was the loneliest time in her life. Here you think that she must be on top of the world. She won an Oscar and she's beautiful and she has money and she does all this. And she said she went back to her room alone and cried because she was alone. So we make this up in our mind that she must be on top of the world because she has money and all this stuff. And I can tell you, I've worked with celebrities. And once people, here's the thing, whether it's a troll or it's like adulation, I personally don't know people who are following me. So it's great to hear in the moment. It gives you a little out of adrenaline, like, oh, that's so great that I inspired somebody to do this. But then I'm back in the moment of being on the road and having to deal with semi. So how I dealt with that is at the end of the day, like I said, whether they're like trolls or people who are really kind and leaving kind comments, those lift me up and make me feel good. But then I talk to people that I know, like I talked to my mom the other night and we had a good conversation, and we talked it through about what I was going through and how I was feeling. And then I felt understood. It's communication. Somebody leaves a message, it's not like we're sitting down and having a back and forth conversation. Sorry. And that's why I love the lives, because I feel like I'm actually like talking to people. And again, I would rather like Zoom because I love to see people's faces and then it seems like a true interaction. But if that's as close as I'm going to get, I mean, that works for me too. But, and then I talked to my niece tonight, and yeah, I talked to my daughter, and people that really care about you, that you know are going to give you great advice or know you so they can give you advice based on what they know about you and about your personality, then that makes you feel good. And then I feel lighthearted afterwards. And then things don't matter then, like what the troll said and stuff. It never really matters like after a while. But then the thing is, it never stops, because then there's always a next video. Like you could get over it, but then Monday there's some, and then Wednesday there's going to be more, and Friday there's going to be more. And so it's really important, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, to have people that you can talk to, especially if you're solo and you're alone. I know this is getting long, so I'm going to wrap it up soon here. But I wanted to talk about one thing that's happened recently, and it ties into this with the bullying and the mental health online and social media. I don't know if you saw, there was Miss USA. I think you pronounce her name Chesley Christ. She was only 30. She won Miss America. She was Miss USA in 2019. And she was also a lawyer. I think she was a complex litigation lawyer. And at the same time she was going to law school, she was getting her MBA. Plus, she was also a correspondent on Extra, which is a TV show. So she accomplished all that by 30. But her mom said that she was dealing with high-functioning depression, although I've read it's not a clinical term. But this is someone who has achieved so much in a small amount of time. But she had written an article not long ago, and it alluded to the fact that she was turning 30 and like how old that was. And it's funny, when you're younger, I remember thinking that too. Like if you weren't married by the time you were 30 or, 35, you were an old hag, and who would want you? And there must be something wrong with you. And I cannot imagine the pressure she was under, and how much more could she accomplish? But she had these people who were trolling her. And again, I'm sure because she had done so much and then they're probably just sitting home, but it still doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. And that's what I'm saying, even for myself, that if I personally say, at least I come out and, not at least, but if I'm being real, I come out and say, I have to protect my mental health. It's about me. It's not about anybody else. And so this Chesley committed suicide at 30. And Simone Bowles, is that her name? She's the gymnast. And when she said that she couldn't compete in the Olympics because of her mental health, people called her a loser and said she was a quitter. And she, could she do this to the U.S.? But she was telling you that it was too much. But nobody wants to listen. And then they're like, well, just set that aside. Well, if it's at the detriment of your own health and sometimes life, then it's not worth it. And that's the thing. I don't want people to say, just forget about them, or don't pay any mind to them. Don't give them a platform, meaning the trolls. Because we need to talk about this. Because if we don't, then it's just going to happen more, because then we feel like we can't talk about them and saying that it's affecting us, because we're supposed to be real, but we're supposed to be happy at the same time and not talk about anything depressing. That's not real. That's not real life. Life is up and it's down and it's sideways and forward and back. Every day is a new emotion. Every 5 minutes could be a new emotion. Every second can be a new emotion. And sometimes there are just days when you're feeling like that. So if I'm staying real, and I'm just talking for myself, and I'm talking about a bad day or about trolls, it's okay. It's okay to be like that. I don't have to forget about them. And it doesn't mean that I don't go on and make like normal videos, like showing you a campground that I'm at or whatever I'm doing. But it's okay to talk about it affecting you, social media affecting you, or whatever it is affecting you. It's okay. We have to make it normal to be able to talk about that, because when we don't, then this is what happens. And I don't know if you're about my age, which is 56, that you know Bridget Fonda, and she was in, I think it's called Single White Female. She was in movies back in the day. She's Henry Fonda's daughter, I believe. And she got married and quit Hollywood and went away and had a kid and was married, just living a quiet life. And some paparazzi saw her and took pictures of her that were just recently all over the internet. And listen, she's 58. She's just living a life. Sorry about that. I have like a tickle in my throat. And she's gained weight and she let her hair go gray. And, and people were like leaving nasty comments. Can you imagine? Like probably leaving Hollywood because of the pressure to feel like you have to stay that way. And she's married with a kid, having a life, and people who love her, her husband loves her, not asking for this. And then all of a sudden somebody posts a picture of you and all of a sudden you're getting all this hate. For what? For living your life and just being human? Especially with COVID, what do people think? That we're all supposed to still look like we're 30 years old? And who knows what's going on with her? It could be a medical condition, or not. Or it just could be she's happy with herself. It's none of our business. And can't imagine to specifically get out of Hollywood on your own terms and not have to deal with that pressure, and then all these years later have somebody find you and take a picture of you, and all of a sudden you're like slapped all over the news again. And now it's not just like the stands of the grocery store. Now it's all over the internet where people see it the minute that it gets posted, and again then just commenting on it. And I can't imagine, like, to live, she went away to live a quiet life, and then now to deal with this. I mean, and people talking about your weight when you didn't put yourself out there. And that's the thing, too. It brings me back to YouTube is a choice for me. Like, I'm the one putting myself out there. And so I should be in control of this. It's not, I don't mean to make people feel bad, but it's not about you. It's about me. It's about my journey. It's about my adventure. And I have to keep going back to the reason why I started this. It's not for money. It's not for the amount of subscribers I can get. It's for none of that. It's about me taking this journey to get out and live my life while I'm 56 and I'm still healthy, because I know that with all that's happened in my family, that I could be the one in an assisted living home sometime soon and not have the chance. One of my followers actually wrote me an email, and he was getting all of his stuff ready to take off, and he had some problems, and it's his spine, and now they don't know what's going to happen. And he wrote in a post, if you can, don't wait. Get out there and do it now. And he was planning his journey, and this happened. So again, you never know. And then, what are we teaching our kids, our poor kids? I mean, when you're an adult, expect that you, like, I don't even know how to handle it sometimes, but I can talk to people and figure it out and make a plan for myself, like what's going to be best for me. But kids don't know, and we're letting them see all these images and comparing themselves and up to all these filtered images, and even people our age doing that. So it just is, it's something to be very aware of. Just be aware of it. That it affects people. It does. Whether it's trolls, whether it's filters, whether it's anything that has to do with social media, whatever you're consuming. And that's why I've really pulled back. I haven't, because of YouTube, and I've been so busy and traveling and stuff and editing and uploading, that I haven't been on Facebook at all. I haven't been on Instagram, and it's actually been freeing. And so I just want to tell you, too, my plan going forward with YouTube is I'm not going to curate content anymore. I'm not, going to stress myself out, because a lot of these people are making content just so that they can give it to their audience. It's a show. It's a show. And it's interesting. People have called it a show. Well, your show. And here's the thing. It's not a show. It's my real life. I don't want to curate it. So, you know what? I may not upload Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because I want to upload when I have something to share. I don't want to create something just so I can share. I hope that makes sense. Because, again, I have to go back to the core of what this whole journey was about. And again, you all said you wanted me to be real with you. Well, this is reality. I don't leave a camera while I'm pulling out and then run back and get it and then edit that to look like, okay, I pulled out and now I'm on the road. And there's so many other van lifers that you can watch that with, and I've watched them. And if you see Eamon and Beck, and unfortunately, true reality has hit them. She has breast cancer, and I'm praying, and I hope she'll be fine. But you said too, I just watched it for a second time today, her video talking about it. And she said, we do the highlight reels, and I don't want you to think that that's always real life. And so I don't want to give you the highlight reels either. There are some in between all this, but this is my reality, and this is my life, and I don't want to have to just make it up to make a show for people, because I'm not worried about subscribers or the AdSense, because it's my life I'm talking about. where some people really get wrapped up into that and then feel like they need to hold on to that. And then when they start losing it, then it makes them feel bad about themselves. Then they start getting desperate of like, what content do you want me to make? What do you want? And I can't, for my own sanity, put myself there. So, but what I am interested in is interviewing other people. I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing people's stories. And what's interesting is one of my followers wrote me and said that he understands minimalism and he lives in a van and he's been a monk. And when I heard that or saw that in the comment, I'm like, hey, if you'd ever let me interview you, oh my gosh, how interesting. Like, to interview somebody who was a monk and now lives in a van. And so he reached out to me, and I'm going to interview him at the end of the month. So you can look forward to that. And what I want to say, too, is that because I don't want this just to be about my life, but I want to find other interesting people. And so if you think you have an interesting story to share, please write me. I started a new email address. Because people were finding all different email addresses for me, which is kind of creepy. But it's Ad-van-tures over 50, and there's no spaces. It's just Ad-van-tures over and then 50 at yahoo.com, and put in the Ray line interview or story or something like that. Because if you have an interesting story that people would love to hear, I would love to interview you. If you're solo female, van lifer or caregiver or dating. Ooh, I just watched last night on Netflix that Swindler on Tinder, something like that. And dating's a whole nother story. Boy, could we delve into that, and especially at this age. But I know people, I've talked to younger people, it's at any age. And listen, I am no expert. Somebody asked me about dating on the road. I didn't even date not on the road. So I think that would be interesting to delve into. I would love to hear stories about that. Like if you have some good dating stories, especially if you're over 50. I would love to hear a good dating story over 50. So write me at Ad-van-tures over 50 at yahoo.com. And, okay, well, confession is over. Boy, that's the longest confession I ever had. But again, it was just talking. It's kind of like a podcast. It's kind of a stream of consciousness. I'm just talking and having wine. And now I'm going to go make some jewelry and relax. And so, I don't know, I hope you kind of enjoyed this. It's just something different, and I just thought that, like I said, without the distractions, that it's kind of nice to just sit and listen and just talk. It's nice for me anyway, so let me know what you think. Okay, well, you know what to do. Go out and make an adventure, no matter how big or how small. You can just walk around your block or just walk to the mailbox, go to the garden, smell a flower. That's an adventure. And do not forget your magic. Okay? Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you in the next one. And I'll see ya. It won't just be a black screen, but I'll see ya. Okay. Bye.